What up, friends? Welcome back to another edition of The Drive presented by Oddschecker. I am Geoff Fienberg. With me is Andy Lack. Well, I don't know whether to call this I don't know if we're in the home stretch of golf season because it's only middle of July, but some people, Andy, blame them or not, they're not as hardcore as us. And once the major season ends, they really kind of tune out in some way, and you can't blame them. But before we get into what's coming up, I couldn't be talking to Andy today without bringing out the big news this morning. The Ryder Cup is my favorite event in all of golf, probably over the Masters. If you said I can watch any event in a golf season, I'd probably pick the Ryder Cup. We have to wait because it's every other year. They picked Keegan Bradley to be the captain this morning. Most hardcores be like, you don't need to have money sitting in a betting book for a year and a half, but I bet Europe at plus 170. I mean, it wasn't the biggest bet, but just to say this is a ceiling number. I took it. I'm confident it'll go off shorter than that. But let's not talk about odds. Let's talk about this decision. It caught me off guard. Why did Tiger just say no? What better things is he doing with his time? I think that's a discussion I'd like to have other people here say something on. He was never the greatest Ryder Cup teammate. And now he's kind of bringing it over to rejecting captaincies after their first, after they're losing off recent road losses and such. Or I shouldn't say that off. It's been a bit of a bad run. Maybe I'm making that up here. But Andy, I'm taking it back. I'm not kidding. I'd have let Michael Jordan be the captain. Keegan hasn't made a team in a decade.
Yeah. I think most were surprised. It was not the announcement that I was expecting. With that being said, I don't know if I'm as anti the decision as some of the knee-jerk reactions that I'm seeing on Twitter.
I'm going to interrupt you to say part of how shocking it is because of what was the expected. So it was shocking in parlay with not being what we expected, then not being I'm glad handing an older guy like a Stuart Sinker. You could debate whether he deserved it. It was shocking on so many levels, which has created knee-jerk reaction, like myself included. But we'll have a year and a half to calm down about it. For the moment, you give me what was about to be a more tepid response. Doing something different, I back. Because it seemed like, change it up. Throw a change ball here. Right. That's the case. That's the pro. He's not friends with JT and Spieth. That's the positive. What else? What are we talking about here?
Well, I think for the people that are calling for Tiger, our criteria for Ryder Cup captaincy, and Jeffrey, we see this all the time in other professional sports, whether it be the NBA or the NFL. The players who are the best during their playing career are not necessarily always the best choices to be coaches, right? I mean, there's countless examples in the NBA and the NFL where these iconic legends of the game turn out to be terrible GMs. Hockey as well turn out to be terrible GMs and terrible coaches. And if there's one thing that we've learned about Tiger throughout his professional career and honestly, in retirement from playing professional golf or semi-retirement, whatever you want to call what Tiger is up to these days in terms of the way that he's currently navigating being a big voice in the room on a lot of the live discussions and the future of pro golf. I was never personally sold that Tiger was the answer. And I certainly was not sold that a member of the boys club in terms of the Sea Island Mafia with, Zach Johnson and Stewie Sank and Davis Love and all those guys over at Sea Island were the answer either. Listen, I made the joke on Twitter. We're exchanging out Sea Island Mafia for Grove Mafia, and Grove is Michael Jordan's private club in Palm Beach. Listen, Keegan plays a lot of golf with Michael Jordan. He's in a completely different clique. Okay, he is not.
Let's make Michael a vice. Let's announce Michael as a vice. Let's go.
Right. The point is just every single time Keegan plays golf off the course, he's plays in some massive, massive money games. He's just a different flavor. Okay. He's not part of the clique that we have seen captain this team, at least in Marco Simone last year.
We've never seen anything like this ever.
Right.
I believe in our lifetime and in the lifetime before ours. And if this works, maybe this is a new thing for USA Golf, and their pipeline for current captains is short. And, with guys like Bubba and Phil, who this was probably supposed to be before the Tiger rumors, right? Phil specifically, but a lot of that pipeline kind of went to live, and we'll probably have to wait quite a bit longer until Phil gets his chance. I believe it'll happen one day. Separate conversation.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. It's a total curveball. It's just shocking on so many levels. It also,
I'm not opposed.
There's a lot of weird things going on here, though. Like this, and I'll tell you else. We should have been keen to something being up by the fact that this announcement hadn't come yet. Because people who've been following it closely, Andy, said by historical precedent, we would have this announcement by the PGA Championship of the year out. And then we saw them hire John Wood, who I then made the jokes like, oh, they hired John Wood to be Tiger's wife because, he doesn't have a wife. He doesn't even have a girlfriend at the moment. And it's a joke, but there's so much of that between dinners and just outfits and like little things like party planning that the spouses have to take on. So I'm like, oh, I guess John Wood's playing the role of Tiger's wife. I'm just so fascinated by it. It'll make for such an interesting conversation. Holy geez. Keegan with the leverage, with the power to do anything. I'm just blown away.
Yeah. Did you watch Full Swing, Jeffrey?
I know what happened there.
Yeah.
The show kind of turned off. I know what he means. I know what he shows. But the counter to that would be, it feels like an overreaction to like a guy, a kid who didn't make the team in some ways either. Like I could almost read it as a total gross overreaction to last year's, if you want to call it a mistake or a job. Sure.
And all of that could be part of the equation as well. I've even heard conspiracy theories floated that, this, Netflix is controlling everything here at the end of the day. But listen, I don't know how you watch a show like Full Swing. And, if I saw Full Swing before the Ryder Cup, if Full Swing came out before the Ryder Cup, I unloaded on the Euros to begin with. I would have taken every last cent out of my bank account and taken out loans from every single person I knew, because just watching Zach Johnson go through that process, he just wasn't a leader of men, and that was clear as day, and he was completely ill prepared for that task. And my takeaway, from watching the other side of it with Keegan is how much of Keegan's desire to win this thing was played up for the cameras. Your guess is as good as mine. I have a hard time understanding the argument that this is not an upgrade. And if you and this is why I personally, I think the Americans are going to win the next Ryder Cup, because this typically is a flip-flopping scenario. And if you just say to yourself, you're getting at bare minimum an upgrade over Zach Johnson last year on a golf course that is on American soil, and they'll have the fans at their backs and is a little bit more conducive to the American skill set. I think at worst, all you can say from this decision is, hey, let's wait and see. And I'm kind of in that mode as well.
I think I looked around the room and there was literally no one.
Yeah.
All right. Those are our thoughts. I'm sure my opinion will change over the course of the year and a half. And I love talking about Ryder Cup so much that, probably shared here and all the other platforms. That took most of our time. I don't have an issue with that at all. There are 3 golf tournaments around the world this week, Andy, which I joke can also make sure you do it responsibly, with next week being a major. That's when it get, 3 tournaments before a major. And unlike a lot of other majors, Andy, where I'll be like, oh, I got this future. I've got a Ludwig 100. I don't have that. I got a Neiman and a Minwoo future. That's really all I got for next week. So I actually have to bet next week. So 3 tournaments this week. Got to at the major next week. Make sure we do it responsibly. I certainly would. And in doing it responsibly, make sure you get the best number, which I always do while using that odds checker grid. Firing it up, Andy. I don't like weeks like this. You know why I don't like weeks like this? Weeks like this are not fun when you are just a Tommy Fleetwood fan. I am a Tommy Fleetwood fan. And what happens when everyone bets Tommy Fleetwood? Well, he disappoints when no one bets him. He disappoints when everyone bets him. But they sharpen their knives and come for the Fleetwood fan. It's not my fault you're jumped on at 22, 25. If you were lucky like me early this morning, 28. Blame yourself. Don't come for me. I'm in on it also. Tommy Fleetwood, 28-1. We're not on American soil. We're around the world. Happy to play Tommy here. To be honest, Andy had a real hard time picking any of the other good players. So what did you do with this board?
Well, first of all, I want to apologize that we weren't able to do a video last week on the first week in like 7 weeks that I was able to secure a winner for us.
You had a write up for odds checker though, right?
Always. Yeah. No, they were my love for Davis Thompson was widely available across the internet, certainly.
And you've been on this video for a long time with that love. So you're right. I do feel it's a little bit of
I know we didn't get to do you as well. We've been Davey T truthers for quite some time. I remember we were having Davis Thompson, conversations last fall swing about how good this guy is. Anyway, Geoff, I'm on Hovland. And I feel like that's a safe space to discuss this with all people. But I think this guy was built for links golf courses. He has finished top 15 in all 4 of his Open Championship appearances. Renaissance Club is really easy around the greens. Like that was one of the things I noticed when I dove into the stats. Like unless you're in a pot bunker, which kind of neutralizes skill because everybody's dead. You're putting from off the green often, and I think that's part of the reason why Hovland's been able to have so much success at Open Championships in the past, like at a golf course like St. Andrews, where it's basically driver putter, and this is a driver putter golf course, and I think we see a really big finish to the season from Viktor Hovland. And I think he gets the party started this week and potentially keeps it going at Troon next week. So I bet Hovland 22-1 at BetMGM.
I love that. And now that like Fleetwood's high water mark is 22-1, it's like, Hovland, like, it's one thing when Tommy's 28, but they're sitting there at
he's kind of the forgotten man a little bit. Don't you think,
right? Let's go.
Now?
Yeah. Yeah, Tom Kim is getting squeezed. Right. Everyone's getting squeezed. Victor's going up. That's
I'm as just a big of a Ludwig guy as you are, and I've been a massive Ludwig defender in some of my group chats that now kind of have the bit that he's a little bit overrated because I love him so much. I still am shocked that we've gotten to a point where Ludwig is pretty much 14-1 consensus and Hovland's 20-1 consensus. It feels like they're closer to the same playing field. Would you not agree?
Probably right. I think it feels like Ludwig's floor way higher. And I don't know whether that affects the placement factor of it, but I think Ludwig's floor seems way higher. But in terms of ability to actually lift the trophy, you could argue it's equal. It'd be hard in many ways to argue that Ludwig actually has that higher level. I love the guy as much as anyone. So I love what you did there with Victor. Going further down the board, Minwoo's won here before, but that seems like a short price. Tom Kim getting a lot of steam. Andy Hideki playing consistent. I got no interest in some of the other guys. So I don't know. Tom Kim, Minwoo. I don't have much. I've got Thomas Detry as well. So room to make a bet on another good player. Maybe it would be Viktor Hovland. I'd like to get to the other events super quick. So if you want to just rhyme off your betting card or give me any factoid you want about this board.
I have a full card. I fired early. I'm on the East Coast. I have access to way more sports books in New York than I typically do in Los Angeles. I bet Wyndham Clark 55-1. Yeah. I bet Jordan Spieth 55-1. I think that Links Golf is going to completely re-engage him as it typically does every year. I bet Brian Harman 60-1. Speaking of Links, I bet Thomas Dietrich 100-1. I'm sure you're swimming in that same pool as well. I bet Eric Van Rooyen 100-1, and I bet Nikolai Hoshgaard 125-1.
That's the one I probably like the most, other than the fact that I am on that dead tree.
A lot of driver putter guys, right? Like Spieth's driving the ball incredible right now. Wyndham Clark is a driver putter guy. Harman's not going to overpower this golf course off the tee, but he just gained 5 strokes off the tee at the Travelers as an elite putter. Thomas Dietrich's a driver putter guy. Eric Van Rooyen's a driver putter guy. Nikolai Hoshgaard's a driver putter guy. It's a driver putter golf course. Power off the tee and lag putting.
Yeah, it's maybe one of the best in the world at that. Min Woo Lee. So
there you go. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And he's a former winner here too. So,
and I don't think they're going to get to practice much because of the weather. So maybe that's an advantage to guys.
What are you seeing weather-wise?
I'm not going to lie. This was told to me by my partner in crime, Pat Mayo, earlier today. For me to pretend that I was staring at a weather anything, I'd be lying to you guys. So I'm not going to play that, but I'm going to trust when he said it to me. So take that for what it's worth. Obviously, double check. It's that time of year, though, right? Weather's a big factor. Draw bias.
It's going to be so easy.
You can get burned. You can get burned quite hard. We're going to keep this going for one more minute, Andy. Major championship next week. I love asking this question. Who are you watching? Even could be someone on Live, because I'll tell you right now, for me, it's Jon Rahm. There's 25-1s, 24-1s for him to win next week. I don't know if he looks great. Maybe I'm running my computer to get something in there. So for me, it's Jon Rahm. Which player? I don't know if you're betting them this week, but you're watching them closely because you think you might want to bet them next week. Who is it?
Yeah, I'll be watching Rahm for sure. I've always liked Rahm on Links golf courses. If he doesn't play well at Valderrama, I think that'd probably be a pretty red flag, seeing as that's like a very serious ball strikers course. I don't think it's like crazy dissimilar to Royal. I know it's not a links golf course, but it heavily emphasizes short game and accuracy off the tee. Hatton probably too. Like I think Hatton probably could win. He's been a
darling though. His major number's been tumbling hard, and people after the U.S. Open trust he might have like a bit more of the mental capabilities, but I loved his game theory at Pinehurst, where he's like, it didn't make me crazier. I'm always crazy, but it brought everyone else to my level. That was a great game theory, which I wish I thought of before the tournament. I love Hatton, but I'm seeing him like 28-1 now. Fleetwood,
I would suppose as well. Although I kind of understand the argument of like Fleetwood's probably the same number this week as he will be next week. Don't you think? Regardless of what happens.
His opening number,
unless he's terrible this week.
His opening number today was pretty much what his opening number, what his number is for next week. Obviously, if you've been paying attention this morning or following this stuff really closely, he got beaten down pretty good. All right, Andy. Next week, it's a major. Isn't that exciting?
Can't believe it snuck up on us, dude. The final major of the year. We're already here. It's so fleeting, man. I wish they were a little spread out. I don't like that. I wish we had one in August, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was talking to a total casual today. I mentioned that. He's like, they finished the majors in July. Like, isn't that crazy? I'm like, it kind of is. Especially because some people kind of turn off golf season once major season is over, at least from
well, it's also just conducive. It's also just more conducive to like player getting hot. Like it's easier to play well in all of the majors right now because they're so close. They're so much closer together than they used to be. So.
And then that's a whole other argument with the elevateds that sometimes piggyback these suckers. But hey, we'll complain about that stuff another day. For Andy, I'm Geoff. Good luck. Scottish Open this week. We'll be back next week. Open Championship, major weeks, always fun. Do it responsibly. 3 tournaments on the board, friends.